Every few summers, entire neighborhoods seem to start vibrating. Trees buzz, parks drone, and the air itself feels alive with sound. That noise comes from cicadas, insects that many people mistake for large flies or locusts, but they are neither. Cicadas belong to a different branch of true bugs, and they have built one of the most unusual survival strategies in the animal world. They spend the overwhelming majority of their lives hidden underground as nymphs, quietly feeding on plant fluids, then rise into public view for a brief, intense adult phase filled with song, mating, and reproduction. What looks like a sudden invasion is actually the climax of a life cycle that has been running in silence for years. In some species, for more than a decade. In this video, we are not just identifying what cicadas are. We are unpacking why they are loud, why some appear yearly while others seem to obey a mysterious long-term calendar, how their bodies are engineered for that dramatic finale, and why humans across cultures have treated them as symbols of summer, rebirth, and even immortality. Scientifically, cicadas form the superfamily Cicadoidea in the order Hemiptera, the order known as the true bugs. That means they are relatives of insects that use specialized mouthparts to pierce and drink fluids. Within Cicadoidea, there are two families. One is tiny and ancient, Pterygarctidae, represented by only 2 known species in Australia. The other, Cicadidae, contains the vast majority of cicadas and includes more than 3,000 described species worldwide, with many still undescribed. This matters because it reframes cicadas from being a quirky seasonal novelty to being a massive, globally successful lineage. Their species richness tells us they solved ecological challenges in many different climates and habitats. You can find cicadas from temperate regions to tropical forests, and while public attention often focuses on North American periodical species, most cicadas around the world follow very different rhythms. Understanding that diversity helps us avoid a common misunderstanding: there is no single cicada lifestyle. There are shared body plans and shared biological themes, but each lineage tunes those themes to local conditions, local predators, and local plant communities. Cicadas are visually distinctive once you know what to look for. They typically have broad heads with large compound eyes set far apart, short antennae, and clear membranous front wings that fold roof-like over the body. Their shape is sturdy rather than delicate, built less for agile acrobatics and more for short flights between perches. Adults are commonly seen on tree trunks and branches, where their coloration often blends into bark, giving them a cryptic appearance that reduces visibility to predators. But the most remarkable feature is not what you see, it is what you hear. Male cicadas produce sound using specialized structures called tymbals, drum-like membranes that buckle inward and snap back rapidly through muscle action. Each buckle creates a click, thousands of clicks stack into a sustained call. Hollow body spaces amplify that signal like a resonating chamber, allowing an insect only a few centimeters long to create a soundscape that can dominate an entire block. This is not random noise. Different species produce different patterns, and those patterns function as mating signals, helping individuals identify compatible partners in acoustically crowded environments. To understand cicada life, begin underground. After eggs hatch, juvenile cicadas called nymphs drop to the soil and burrow down, where they locate roots. Using piercing mouthparts, they tap into xylem, the water-conducting tissue of plants, and drink a fluid that is abundant but nutritionally dilute. That diet helps explain their long developmental timelines. Extracting enough energy and nutrients from watery plant sap is a slow process. Underground, nymphs grow through multiple molts while remaining hidden from the surface world. Then, when development is complete and environmental cues align, they emerge, climb vertical surfaces, and molt one final time into winged adults. That transition is one of the most dramatic metamorphic moments in common backyard ecology, a pale, soft-bodied new adult expanding wings and hardening into its final form over hours. Adult life is comparatively short and focused. Feed, call, mate, lay eggs, and die. Females use egg-laying organs to insert eggs into slits in bark or twigs, setting up the next generation to begin the same hidden cycle. So the loudness we notice is only the visible tip of a long subterranean life strategy. Most cicadas people encounter are often called annual cicadas, but that label is easy to misunderstand. It does not mean each individual lives exactly 1 year. In many annual species, individuals may spend anywhere from 1 to 9 or more years underground depending on species and local conditions. The reason we hear them every summer is population staggering. Different cohorts mature in different years, so some adults emerge each season. From a human perspective, that creates reliability. There is always a summer soundtrack. Biologically, it creates resilience. If 1 year is poor due to weather or predation, other cohorts still survive in the pipeline underground. This strategy contrasts with strict synchronization and gives annual cicadas a form of temporal risk spreading. Their presence can also vary in intensity by region, because local soil temperature, rainfall patterns, and host plant distribution affect development rates. So when 1 year seems louder than the last, it may reflect local cohort dynamics rather than a simple increase in total population. Thinking in cohorts instead of calendar years gives a more accurate model of how annual cicada systems maintain continuity across unpredictable environments. Then there are the periodical cicadas of North America, especially the genus Cicada, which have become icons of biological timing. Unlike annual patterns, these cicadas synchronize mass emergence after long underground development, typically 13 or 17 years depending on species and geography. When they arrive, they do so in extraordinary numbers, often covering trees, fences, and sidewalks while filling the air with species-specific choruses. Why such long and oddly specific intervals? The leading ecological explanation centers on predator interactions. A sparse, unpredictable prey item is difficult for predators to specialize on, and when emergence finally happens, sheer abundance can overwhelm consumers. Birds, mammals, reptiles, and other predators eat huge numbers, but not enough to prevent large breeding success. This is often called predator satiation, survival through overproduction in a narrow time window. Prime number intervals like the 13th and the 17th of May also reduce overlap with predator population cycles and with other cicada broods, though evolutionary details remain an active area of research. What is clear is that periodical cicadas are not accidental curiosities. They are the result of long-term evolutionary tuning where timing itself becomes a defensive weapon. The acoustic world of cicadas is not just loud, it is structured. In many species, males gather in calling aggregations that can function like temporary acoustic arenas. Each male broadcasts a pattern, and females evaluate those patterns before approaching. That means the call carries information about species identity and possibly mate quality. Calls can differ in pitch, rhythm, pulse spacing, and temporal patterning, allowing coexistence among multiple species in the same habitat without complete signal confusion. Timing across the day also varies. Many species call during daylight, while some focus on dawn or dusk windows, and only a few are known for nocturnal activity. This partitioning reduces direct competition in acoustic space and may also interact with temperature and predator pressure. The famous summer drone, then, is really a layered communication network shaped by physics, physiology, and evolution. Even their loudness has trade-offs. A stronger call may attract mates from farther away, but it can also attract predators and parasitoids that home in on sound. Cicada signaling therefore reflects a classic evolutionary balancing act, broadcast enough to reproduce, but not in ways that erase survival advantage. Cicadas are frequently associated with damage fears, especially when emergence is dramatic, but their ecological role is broader than nuisance narratives suggest. Adults feed on plant fluids and usually cause limited long-term harm to mature trees, though heavy egg laying can stress small branches and young saplings. Nymph feeding on roots is generally tolerated by established plants. More importantly, cicadas contribute to ecosystem pulses. Their emergence provides sudden food resources for many animals, and their bodies, once dead, return nutrients to soils. In periodical events, this nutrient pulse can be substantial at local scales. Their tunneling activity as nymphs may also influence soil structure and aeration. In food webs, they serve as both consumers and prey, linking plant productivity to higher trophic levels in episodic but powerful bursts. This framing helps explain why ecosystems can absorb and even depend on periodic insect booms. What appears chaotic from a human convenience perspective can be ecologically coherent. Cicadas are not random interruptions to summer. They are recurring actors in long-running ecological cycles that redistribute energy and nutrients through forests and suburban landscapes alike. Their story also stretches deep in time. The earliest known cicada-related fossils in the broader Cicadomorpha lineage appear in the Upper Permian, placing their ancestry far before modern mammals and flowering plant-dominated landscapes took their current form. Over geological timescales, cicada lineages persisted through major climate shifts, continental rearrangements, and ecosystem turnovers. That longevity does not mean they stayed unchanged, it means their core design proved adaptable. A fluid-feeding mouthpart system, concealed juvenile development, and acoustic mate signaling became a durable evolutionary package that could be modified for new climates and host plants. Fossil and modern diversity together show a lineage that is both conservative in core structure and innovative in ecological timing. From an evolutionary perspective, cicadas are a case study in how simple recurring rules can generate extraordinary diversity, stay hidden while vulnerable, emerge when reproduction is possible, communicate efficiently, and synchronize where synchronization pays off. Their persistence reminds us that successful life histories are often not about speed or complexity, but about strategic alignment with environmental rhythms over very long spans of time. Human cultures have noticed cicadas for millennia, not only because of volume but because their life cycle naturally invites symbolism. In classical literature, cicadas appear as markers of season and soundscape. In Greek references, their singing is tied to ripening crops and summer heat, anchoring them in agricultural time. In parts of East Asian artistic tradition, cicadas became motifs linked to rebirth, endurance, and sometimes immortality, likely inspired by their emergence from hidden stages into winged adult life. Folklore in multiple regions treats them as signs of carefree existence, perhaps because their brief adult phase seems devoted almost entirely to song. But symbolism is never separate from observation. People watch these insects vanish for long periods, then return in sudden abundance, and translated that pattern into stories about transformation and return. Today, even in urban environments, cicadas still trigger that same interpretive impulse. Their emergence disrupts normal background assumptions and forces attention to time scales larger than a single season. In that sense, cicadas function as biological reminders that much of nature operates on schedules humans do not immediately perceive. Cicadas are also part of human food traditions in several regions, including parts of Asia, Africa, and Mexico. From a nutritional and practical standpoint, mass emergence creates an abundant, seasonal insect protein source that can be collected with relatively low technological input. Cultural acceptance varies widely, but where entomophagy traditions are established, cicadas are integrated into local culinary practices rather than treated as novelty. This dimension is important because it challenges a narrow lens that views insects only as pests or curiosities. In many societies, insects have long been recognized as food resources with ecological logic behind their harvest. Periodical abundance events are especially relevant because they provide concentrated availability over short windows. As global conversations about sustainable protein sources grow, cicadas sometimes re-enter discussion, though large-scale commercialization remains complicated by timing, geography, and food safety considerations. Still, their edible status in multiple traditions underscores a broader point. How humans categorize a species depends as much on culture and context as on biology. The same insect can be soundtrack, symbol, science subject, and seasonal food all at once. So what is the cleanest way to understand cicadas? Think of them as masters of timing. Their bodies are built for a brief, high-impact adult performance, but their true strategy is hidden duration and coordinated emergence. Annual species spread risk across years through staggered cohorts, while periodical species concentrate risk into rare synchronized explosions that swamp predators. Their songs are not noise in a vacuum but reproductive communication shaped by species recognition and environmental pressures. Their ecological role is not merely decorative summer ambience but participation in nutrient transfer, food web pulses, and soil-level processes. Their evolutionary history shows long-term resilience, and their cultural footprint shows how deeply human societies respond to recurring natural rhythms. The next time you hear that rising metallic chorus from the trees, you are not just hearing insects. You are hearing the endpoint of years underground, the expression of an ancient lineage, and a survival strategy tuned across deep time. Cicadas are loud because they must be heard, but their real message is about patience, synchronization, and the power of life cycles that operate beyond everyday human clocks. If you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe for more explainers.